The Galactic Conclave had never seen anything like it. The arena on Vrethkor Prime was ancient, older than most civilizations in the known spiral, older than the Conclave itself. Its obsidian walls had absorbed the blood of 10,000 species across 30 millennia. Champions from warrior races, beings with 6 limbs and triple hearts, creatures who breathed methane and chewed iron, had all eventually knelt on its floor, or stopped moving entirely. No human had ever been brought here willingly. Sarah hadn't been brought willingly either. She'd been snatched from the research station on Kepler 442b during what her supervisor had called, with spectacular understatement, an unauthorized personnel retrieval. 3 Vrethkor slavers, 1 electromagnetic pulse, 1 missing xenobiologist. Now she stood in a holding cell that smelled of something ancient and wrong. Still wearing her field jacket with the university logo on the chest pocket, her hair still pulled back in the same practical braid she'd done up that morning 3 days ago. Jack found out 6 hours later. Specialist First Class Jack Mercer of the Terran Expeditionary Response Division was, by his own admission, not a patient man. He was, however, a methodical one. When the distress beacon embedded in Sarah's field jacket activated, a feature she'd complained about as patronizing surveillance the day it was installed, Jack was already aboard a Conclave courier vessel, having explained to its captain, in precise and unhurried terms, exactly what would happen if he didn't cooperate. The captain had cooperated. Jack arrived at Vrethkor Prime 11 hours after Sarah's capture. He came with a sidearm, a trauma kit, and the particular quality of stillness that humans sometimes develop when they have decided, with complete calm, that something is going to happen regardless of what stands in the way. He was escorted to the arena master, a 7-limbed creature named Galvith, whose species experienced status through a complex system of earned suffering. Galvith was very high status. "Your female," Galvith said, through a translator that struggled with tone, "has been entered in the exhibition cycle. She cannot be removed until the cycle concludes, or she is unable to continue." "What's the cycle?" Jack asked. "Continuous combat. One challenger after another. Standard duration, 12 hours. Most entrants manage 2, perhaps 3 bouts before requiring medical intervention." Galvith's secondary eyes swiveled with what the translator identified as amusement. "Your female has been inside for 1 hour. She has defeated 8. Jack was quiet for a moment. "Show me," he said. The viewing gallery was packed. Every seat in the Vrethkor arena held a species from somewhere in the spiral. Merchants, dignitaries, thrill seekers, beings who dealt in spectacle, and beings who simply could not look away. They were watching the floor below with an attention that bordered on religious. Jack looked down. Sarah was fighting her 9th challenger. It was a Drek alien, a species from a high-gravity moon that produced beings approximately twice human mass and proportionally dense. It had 4 arms, a chitinous outer layer, and what the arena commentator was describing, in Vrethkor, which the translation earpiece rendered haltingly, as an undefeated personal record of 41 bouts. Sarah had a split lip and what looked like a bruised shoulder. She was also clearly studying her opponent with the same systematic attention she gave rock formations and atmospheric samples. The Drek alien charged. She moved wrong. That was the thing about humans, Jack knew, that most species didn't account for until it was too late. Human movement didn't look like predator movement. It didn't look like prey movement either. It looked, to most alien observers, vaguely uncoordinated, bipedal, narrow, soft, a species that had clearly evolved for something other than combat. What they didn't understand was that Sarah had grown up at high altitude in Montana, had spent 6 years doing competitive judo before pivoting to academics, and had written her doctoral thesis on the stress-response physiology of apex predators. She had been studying dangerous creatures her entire professional life. She let the Drekalian's momentum carry it past her, redirected one of its arms with precise joint pressure, and put it on the ground with a sound that echoed off the obsidian walls. The arena went silent. Then it went loud. By the time the 10th challenger stepped through the gate, the gallery had shifted. The ambient noise was different. Jack had spent enough time in enough places to recognize what he was hearing. Not excitement, not bloodlust. Something more complicated. Unease. A conclave official sidled up to him. "Your female, she is not performing correctly." "Define correctly," Jack said. without looking away from the floor. Challengers are meant to be defeated or to defeat. There is a rhythm to exhibition cycles. The crowd understands the rhythm. The official's translator struggled with the next part. She is not following the rhythm. She is studying. Between bouts, she is examining the bodies of defeated challengers. She is adjusting her methods. This is not standard. No, Jack agreed. It isn't. What Sarah was doing, what the official couldn't quite name because no species had done it in this arena before, was treating the exhibition cycle as a data problem. Each challenger was a new data set. Each bout was a controlled experiment. She was identifying patterns in how different species moved, where their balance points were, which joints were analog to human joints, and which were completely alien. What fear looked like in a Drek alien versus what aggression looked like in a Thorn versus what pain looked like in a Skelver. She was building a model, and she was updating it efficiently, in real time, using the only experimental subjects available. By the 11th bout, she was defeating challengers in under 40 seconds. The 12th challenger didn't come. The gate stayed closed. The arena master appeared at Jack's elbow, which was not where arena masters typically appeared. There is a problem, Galveth said. Is there? The guards. Galveth's primary eyes were doing something the translator couldn't interpret. They are refusing to enter the preparation corridor. The challengers are also reluctant. There have been discussions. Discussions, Jack repeated. The beings who fight in this arena have a culture, Galveth said, and something in the translated voice had changed texture. Become careful. They understand danger. They have frameworks for danger. They know what a predator looks like. They know what a berserker looks like, what a pain-immune combatant looks like, what a fast-healing species looks like. A pause. They do not have a framework for what she is doing. The not knowing is worse than the danger. Jack looked down at the arena floor. Sarah was sitting cross-legged in the center, eyes closed, breathing steadily. She looked, to any observer, like someone resting. She was, Jack knew, running through everything she'd learned in the last 2 hours, consolidating it, preparing for whatever came next. She had probably already accounted for the possibility that nothing came next and was developing contingencies. She had been a xenobiologist for 8 years. Her entire career was the systematic study of things that could kill you. Release her, Jack said. The cycle is over, Jack said. Because your fighters won't fight. The cycle requires challengers. You have no challengers. He turned to look at Galveth directly. I want her out of that arena in the next 10 minutes. I want our transport cleared to depart. And I want the 3 individuals who took her from Kepler 442b in a room with a conclave magistrate within the hour. He paused. Or I go down there and get her myself, and we have a much longer conversation about what humans look like when they're motivated. Galveth was quiet for a long moment. 10 minutes, the arena master said. Sarah emerged from the corridor looking like someone who had been in 2 hours of continuous combat, which was to say, present, alert, and increasingly impatient with the amount of time the debrief was taking. Jack handed her a water ration and a field dressing for the split lip. You tracked the beacon, she said. It wasn't quite an accusation. I tracked the beacon. She applied the dressing. I told you those things were invasive. You did. I'm not saying I'm not glad you're here. I know. She looked back at the arena gate, then at the gallery above, where hundreds of beings from dozens of species were still pressed against the rails, watching her. She seemed to consider this for a moment. They're going to talk about this, she said. Probably forever, Jack agreed. Sarah picked up her field jacket from where a nervous guard had deposited it, checked that her sample cases were still in the pockets, and slung it over her shoulder. Good, she said. Maybe they'll think twice next time. She walked out. Behind them, the ancient arena stood empty for the first time in 30 millennia, its obsidian walls absorbing one more story, and for once, the story didn't end with something on the floor. It ended with something walking out the door.